7:19 in the
You're
morning.
bleeping yourself.
You know me. I'm all about
Yeah.
keeping it clean.
You're really by the rules.
Censor.
Despite what you heard in that
Censor
last
six
Yeah.
part of me likes that nickname. Mayor Devo, sit here with you. Good morning. Who wants to feel old?
Oh, it's so tough.
This is one of those.
This is a tough
You're
list.
gonna feel
guys.
old.
You
I'm
are.
sorry.
Yeah.
It's
What do
fascinating.
we got?
Yeah.
Bring it on.
The word vintage. When someone says vintage, we all have our own kind of definitions on that.
Yeah.
The actual definition is it's assumed to be older than 20 years, but less than 100 years. So we're talking anything.
Okay.
There's no consensus on that, but most people believe it. So here are some things that this year, based on the math numbers I just threw out there, older than 20 years, less than 100 are now vintage. I'm going to argue some of these, but
Take a breath.
Here we
Ready,
go.
everybody?
the first YouTube video ever is now vintage. It was a guy at the zoo. I didn't even know this.
I didn't know that.
Are you aware of the first
Is
YouTube
this
video?
more zoo talk?
It is.
I was
Yes.
Charlie bit my finger or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, at
The-
the
Oh, there he
zoo.
is.
Oh,
That's the first YouTube video?
wow. Where's this guy now?
I mean, he should be a billionaire, shouldn't
Exactly. Yeah.
he?
Okay.
The term glamping is now considered vintage.
Gl-
Glamping is not vintage.
that can't be vintage.
That can't be older than 20 years.
Wow.
Etsy,
Yeah.
that's vintage.
Right.
I'm going to take, listen, I don't care whether it's vintage or not. Guitar Hero might be the greatest video game of all time. Guitar Hero, I wore my
that's a
guitar
bold
out.
statement,
That's a very bold
Sid.
statement.
That's a bold statement.
Are you kidding?
I do like
How
it.
addictive this game, and then Rock Band on top of the Guitar Hero with the drum kit?
Oh God, that just got too much for me.
That became too much.
I was
Give me
like,
a
now you're going
Coors
to
Light and my
parties
night is
everyone's doing that.
set.
See, Guitar Hero to me is not because only one person can play it at a time.
No,
Well,
but you
can
can
have
double
a
up. You can have a
battle.
bass.
You can have a
Okay,
battle.
well, if you can't afford
I was-
19 guitars,
Well, it just came with
you
the
bring
pack.
your
There's
own.
one person.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
bring your own.
Yeah,
I would
Probably-
sit at a party with 30 people and watch one dude
person
play
do-
for
I
an
know.
hour. I'm like, this is dumb.
yeah.
It can't be.
Yeah.
This is dumb.
That
It's just
can
like,
be a
I want to
little
do
dumb.
fun things.
That can be a little
But
dumb.
it is a great game. No, it is pretty
Also, things that are vintage. Dancing with the Stars. It's been around for a while. Dancing with the Stars.
wild, yeah.
And the movie Twilight.
It's
That
vintage.
The weird thing with the
Twilight?
werewolves that I've never quite understood
Twilight
is now vintage.
Vintage.
And what makes you feel the oldest here in all these vintage things, Meredith Shaw? What makes you feel vintage?
I think Twilight.
Yeah.
Even though I don't have, like, I was not a Twilighter. What are they? Like, that wasn't my thing. But that doesn't seem, that doesn't seem vintage. Vintage to me is like I'm at Courage My Love in Kensington Market, and I'm looking through, I don't know, stuff from
Old
like
jean
the
jacket.
70s or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it doesn't
know-
seem like my childhood could be vintage.
You know,
okay?
yeah, that's why you think
rude.
the 70s
That's
is because of
rude.
where you're at now.
Yeah.
That's the same. I feel the same way. Like, I look at Sid's cord jacket, which I love,
Thank you.
but that gives me vintage vibes with the corduroy back in the day in the 80s and stuff like
Sure.
that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where I think of vintage. So I think we all
That's
think
a compliment.
vintage is. No, it is.
Yeah, it is a compliment.
I'll take it.
No, I know it is a
I love
compliment.
jacket.
Yeah.
But it is. It's yeah. Twilight did it for me there.
Wow.
Because I kind of remember that coming out and being like, I'm not interested in this in any way, and I still am not. But it feels like just yesterday.
thought,
I
yeah.
thought that.
You know, I got that thought. I don't know. How are you feeling about this?
I feel like I need to play Guitar Hero is what I
Yeah.
feel like right now. Now I'm in the mood. Look, I could see some of these being vintage. Glamping's not vintage. I've heard that's how recent is that term? It can't
No,
be a
you just went
20-year-old
last weekend,
term.
Sid.
Well, you know
And
me.
you brought your Guitar Hero there, and I'll sit there with a beverage and just watch you play for an hour.
Devo, watch this.
Like, yeah, what a good time
Fortunate
glamping.
son.
That reminds me of the scene in Barbie movie where he's like 4 hours later and he's still playing I Wanna Push You Around. Just an PSA for guys. We don't necessarily like it when you play guitar at us, whether it's Hero or otherwise. Just FYI. Yeah.
Really?
FYI.
Because music videos have been lying to me then for decades.
They have. Yes.
Sorry, if I was
I
dating
know we've
someone
taken somewhere else.
and I
but-
pulled out a song and played something like Sean Desmond or whatever,
Sean Desmond on a guitar.
I don't know. Shout out Sean.
Yeah.
My own remix.
Friday night
My own
in the
remix.
club.
You don't think it's romantic if I'm looking in someone's eyes?
Girl, you got me.
No. No, I don't. I think we feel trapped as women. Yeah, I do. Unless you're, John Mayer or something, just move on.
The
Just
broody
do something else.
guitar playing dude writing you a song
Too long.
was
Most
like,
songs are too long.